You ever get back home after a long day of work and just crash into your bed or your desktop, scrolling away and just wasting time for the next day to come until you're faced with existential dread at the thought that this is your life? Just doing the same thing over and over again, working every single day, doing the same thing always, and that you're stuck with this now. And then you're just like, this whole thing is meaningless. I just work tirelessly just to feed myself, pay rent, and then I gotta do it again and again and again. I don't have energy to do anything, and I can't enjoy anything, and just everything is just so meaningless. Well, that makes two of us. Or you could say three if we count that one Jew from way long ago that decided to write my favorite book of the Bible, Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is a book from the Old Testament, so it's a text that is shared between Jews and Christians. It is believed to have been written by King Solomon, but some scholars would like to disagree. King Solomon was a pretty solid guy, in my opinion. When God asked him if he wanted anything and that he would give it to him, King Solomon asked for wisdom, which I honestly really respect. He's also the one who wrote the spiciest book of the Bible, which is called Song of Solomon, and I definitely would recommend. Now, the reason I like Ecclesiastes so much is, first of all, I find it quite reassuring that someone from 900 BC living the same existential dread than we do. It is very comforting, but it also tackles the meaninglessness of life in a very comforting way. It's not a doom and gloom story. It's a story of hope and faith, and in a very interesting way. And I relate to it a lot. I really do. I've come from a life of feeling like nothing mattered, and I just wanted to off myself, to finding God and finding joy. So, but because it's meaningless, it's also so beautiful. And there is really beauty in letting go. And it's this radical acceptance that I really enjoy. Through the good time and the bad time. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So Ecclesiastes starts as the following. He basically presents himself, and then he goes on to say, meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors? I wish they toiled under the sun. Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north, round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? It was here already long ago. It was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. So it really sets, the whole feeling of the text, which is really everything happens in its own time. Not only everything happens in its own time, but things that are not associated with our own life, we could categorize as meaningless. For example, the sea that is never full, and it's just cyclical. There's this cyclical theme that is there quite often. But there's a few passages that really resonate with me, and I'd like to share those with you. And after that, I'll do maybe some that I find more profound. So one of my favorite passage of Ecclesiastes is in chapter 3, and it's called A Time for Everything. And it takes back that concept of life cycle and goes as follows. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear down and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God had laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been done, and God will call the past to account. What that passage means for me is radical acceptance, as I mentioned earlier. It's to accept that you don't have control over your life, and that's okay. It's okay to just accept whatever season you're in. Accept that you're sad or angry or happy. Or when I was reading that passage, it reminded me of winter and summer and fall in the season, and you don't choose what you get, but you still get it, and you have to make do with what you have. And when you feel like life is meaningless, understanding and accepting that you can only do what you can with the situation you've been given, and that you can't always change it, that sometimes there's a greater force at hand, and you just need to find joy in it, find pleasure in the little things. Maybe you're not happy with the job you have right now. Maybe you're not happy with whatever is happening in your life, but what about just stopping, looking outside, and just truly being in awe of what is out there, being in awe of all of creations, loving nature and people and understanding with empathy, and just opening yourself up to accept that you can find joy in the hardest, toughest time. Another passage I really enjoy from Ecclesiastes is in chapter 9, and it starts at verse 7. It goes as the following. Go, eat your food with gladness, and drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do. Always be clothed in white, and always anoint your head with oil. Enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of this meaningless life that God has given you under the sun, all your meaningless days. For this is your lot in life, and in your toilsome labor under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. This one really resonated with me because life is such a beautiful gift, and sometimes there is no specific meaning behind a gift besides just wanting the person who receives it to appreciate it and enjoy it. You thought of this person and you give it to them, and this is what life is. It's a gift, and it's something to be appreciated. You don't need to look for meaning. Don't need to. Life can be meaningless, and that's fine. But at least enjoy it. Don't just work for no reason. Find a reason. Find yourself a wife, a husband, have kids. Have people in your life to which working for them will give you meaning. Because that's what life is. It's just meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be enjoyed not through worldly things, not through money, not through food, not through, it's meant to be enjoyed through things that gives you a sense of belonging. You'll never enjoy life through selfish means. You'll never enjoy life if all you think about is yourself. The world is so big and wide and there's so many people. Just look around. Look at your parents, sister, brothers. Take care of them. Enjoy their company, because one day they will die too. And whether you think the time you spend with them is meaningless or not, it doesn't matter. Just do it what you have now. Take full advantage of it. Because you could lose everything. And you could gain everything as well. You don't know what life has to give you or take away from you. So enjoy what you have at the moment with all your heart. Fully accept it and enjoy it. You're alive now and you will die eventually. So why do you keep living like you're already dead? That doesn't make any sense, does it? So just go out there, live life, and stop being so stuck up. I like to finish with one last passage, which is not necessarily one that I relate to personally, like the others, which I kind of went in a little rant about it, but this one is something I find is maybe a little bit more profound in terms of teaching and wisdom. Kind of. It's all profound and wisdom-y. So it's in chapter 4, verse 7, and it goes as follows. Again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity in the ones who fall and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? The one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. I think a lot of people can relate to this passage. Maybe you just see it as a story about a man, but I see it about you. Being lonely. Having friends, but not truly relying on each other. Kind of understanding all of you are having a hard life, and so you just do your own thing. Because you all have it difficult. You're all having a difficult time. So you just kind of push it under the rug and deal with your own crap. Whereas you could help someone else. You could depend on each other. You could help each other up when you're falling. You could find yourself a community, man. Like, seriously. You can't just keep doing this. You're alone, you're miserable, you're lonely. You have nothing but yourself to live for. but you still deprive yourself of enjoyment just like that man. You're not content with your wealth either, which is, you could probably blame on the economy today, but people have had it worse through history, but they still had something that we don't, which is people, someone to lean on, and someone that can lean on them. And just like they say, 2 is better than 1, but 3, it's even better. Stop relying only on yourself. You're not strong enough. None of us are. We're all weak alone. We're all weak alone. And I understand it's hard in today's society when everyone is so isolated from each other. But if you don't have a bad relationship with your family, start with family. Your brothers, your sister, your mother, your father, your children, if you have some. It's not wrong to be dependent on someone. Find God. Rely on Him. You'll already be stronger. I know because I am. Before God, I was a shell of myself. And now I don't even have the words to put it. And if you're not ready for it, that's fine. But be open to it. Read Ecclesiastes. It's one of the smallest books of the Bible. It takes maybe 30 minutes to read it. You can read it super fast, super easily. Or read the Proverbs. Proverbs is just it's just a bunch of sayings. It's just a bunch of wisdom that you can directly apply in your life. But we are all fools if we stand alone. If nothing is working right now, you just gotta try something new. If you keep just having the same pattern of the same thing repeating, you gotta try something new. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. If you have any thoughts or comments or anything about Ecclesiastes or other books of the Bible, please let me know in the comments. This is my first video, so please leave your thoughts, how it felt, and thank you for staying this far.